Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. As you can see, we have the Honorable David Abdullah here with us. I have asked him to come on and join us within the last couple of minutes of our program discussing this most important issue, to discuss briefly possible resolutions to this issue. We have seen and we have examined how we actually got to this situation, where we are right now. Not only the residents, but of course our dear friend Dr. Kubal Singh, whether you agree with him or not. At the end of the day, it is my view, my personal view, that we cannot sit by as human beings and let another human being die. Whatever the reason, whether he's right, whether he's wrong, whether he's... I think that borders on barbaric, sir.
Yes.
So first of all, my good friend,
Thank you very much.
welcome.
Thank you very
Tell
much,
me,
Mickela.
is there any possible resolution to this issue? Yes,
there has to be. In other words, we have to find a way to bring resolution. At the one level, people, of course, have been saying to the Prime Minister and by extension to members of our government that they need to pause once again. You see, the Armstrong Committee reported, 18 months ago or more than that, and the government did not come back and say, we considered recommendation 1, this is what we have done, recommendation 2.
They rejected it outright, apparently, because work has continued.
In essence, yes. Now, that is bad governance. So we have to say, as citizens, you need to give that proper consideration. Secondly, with the new route now, which has addressed specifically the issue of traffic, the government could now look at this new route. They could hold further work on Monday 0 to Debe, and then continue apace with San Fernando to Point Fortin, and then look at this new route being proposed by the Highway Route Movement, together with the recommendations of the Armstrong Committee, and let us try and come to a negotiated settlement.
That is rational. It makes sense. I'm sure it makes sense to all of our viewers and any rational listening member of the public. But we have to accept certain facts, sir.
Yes.
Number one, the Prime Minister has said that she will not negotiate with terrorists. Now, that was a little bit... I don't know if she was doing a kind of Rudal Munilal tongue-in-cheek kind of thing with us, because surely Dr. Kubal Singh isn't a terrorist.
Sure.
Far from it. If she refuses, if the Honourable Prime Minister refuses, and let us say, for example, all of our ministers refuse, what are we, the people of Trinidad and Tobago, going to do? We cannot let a fellow human being die.
Sure.
Not only because I believe in fighting, you have to live another day to fight. We can't let our friend and colleague die.
And therefore there needs to be a moral outrage on the question.
Yes.
So that is one thing. And we are working on a letter from civil society, and I've already gotten perhaps about 20, 25 civil society organizations to sign on.
Wonderful, sir.
And that they represent many thousands of people. So while we haven't got the thousands individually to sign, the representative organizations are doing so. Women's organizations, youth, some village councils from Point Fortin area, trade unions, and others in doing important work well recognized in the country. So that is one initiative, to say to the Prime Minister that there is in fact a large body of opinion wanting to get this matter resolved, halt work, review. And
just consult. And that's
negotiate,
all. Negotiate, consult, listen, negotiate. Something they didn't do with the Constitutional Reform Bill, but that's when you visit me next time.
Right. But and also, the very important interventions we made by Martin Daly, Senior Counsel.
Yes.
And Martin said quite correctly that it would be a travesty of justice, my words, to have a court matter determine something to be wrong 2 years from now, when the wrong would have been a fait accompli. That undermines and breaks down our entire justice system.
Yes, it does.
And so he said to the state and to the HRM as litigants, let us have a joint intervention to the Privy Council to have the substantive matter determined urgently.
I agree
so that
with that.
Once and for all, we can decide this matter in a fair and objective way. And I think that is also necessary. I think that's another important intervention. So I think there are going to be several interventions. At a technical level, we are working with people at a technical level to have an intervention with some of the government's technical people, but that is a work in progress, and hopefully in a day or two I could make a formal announcement, or someone will make a formal announcement about that.
I hope
because
so.
We need to, the government can't simply say we are not looking at this proposal. They could
It's
say...
irrational, to say the least. It's irrational. That is not the kind of governance that we're moving
Precisely.
into. What is it, the kind of
Precisely.
governance I thought that we were saying that we moved against?
Precisely. And ultimately, therefore, though, I mean, you asked what would happen. Ultimately, there'll be a fallout, one way or the other, from either wise decisions by the Prime Minister or decisions that are just
You know, sometimes
unreasonable.
they say that standing up and waiting to see who blinks first. Sometimes the bigger man or woman is the person who can actually say, listen, no one's going anywhere in this. Perhaps what we need to do is step back, discuss, consult with each other, and find a way to negotiate and come to some conclusion.
And that is what we're working on.
And hopefully, with God's will, we will be able to come to a solution before anything terrible happens on either side. Thank you so much, my great friend. I know it's only been a short period of time.
Fine.
Ladies and gentlemen, I've got a couple of minutes before we close off. I want to say thank you again to my dear friend Terrence, and to everybody from the Highway Reroute movement. Obviously, Mr. Abdullah, who is people who have just been working tirelessly behind the scenes that we don't see, that's not reported in the newspaper. In closing, the movement has asked me, and I have decided it was a wonderful idea to show a clip that I came across. I had spoken with them, and they were very happy for me to show it. So we're stepping a little bit out of our comfort zone, and I'm going to close this evening with a clip from Father Clive Harvey. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us. I look forward to seeing you next week. Bye-bye.
More than 25 years ago, Calypsonian gypsy sang "Somebody Stealing, Thieving the Soul of the Nation." It was a song that resonated with many of us. But it's a song which sometimes I think wasn't altogether correct, because we're still searching for the soul of the nation. And today, as we consider what is happening with Dr. Wayne Kublal Singh, the highway, not from Point Fortin to San Fernando, but rather between Mondesir and Debe, that's the issue. A man fasting for a cause challenges us about our soul. Where is the soul of the nation? With the first hunger strike, Wayne Kublal Singh gave me, and I tried to communicate it to others, 3 words which I think can help us find our soul: truth, transparency, trust. And the Armstrong report, which is at the center of all of this, is not about the Honorable Prime Minister. It's not even about Wayne Kublal Singh. It's about whether or not we as a people can develop principles and processes which allow us to believe in ourselves, to always stand for truth, and to try to be transparent about what we do. Unless I can believe in your truth when you speak to me, when you relate to me, nothing is possible. I can't trust you. Unless to some extent I can think that I'm seeing through you, the real you, in the way, in the process that we're engaged in, I can't trust you. And people who don't trust each other can't form relationships. No nation can endure. So we are faced today with that challenge. And a man fasting is challenging us to ask ourselves, is there anything that we're willing to die for? Do we love anything enough, in this case Trinidad and Tobago, to identify what are the values, what are the things that I would lay down my life for as a citizen of this country? Unless some citizens have that sense, we're not a republic. We're still subjects of some monarch, whoever that monarch is, and we won't survive. So today, as we face this, let's forget about the personalities and let's think Trinidad and Tobago. Those who mock, they have to ask themselves, why am I mocking? I hope that those who are for a highway can say, yeah, this is something I'm willing to die for. And if that alone is what this strike says to us, that helps us to become more transparent as a country. I believe in those 3 values that the last hunger strike identified for me. I've tried to live them since then. Whatever happens with this one, I hope that we as a country can take another step forward towards living those values. The Armstrong report challenges us about those values. It has practical examples and suggestions as to how we can make those values a part of who we are as a nation. Let us look to the substance of that report, and as a nation, seek to make it something real and active in our midst.